Okay, so what you need to do is navigate over to the Monkey's Paw Rewrite story map and go ahead and open up your story map where it says click this story map. It's going to ask you, do you want to make a copy? Yes, absolutely make a copy, because you can use this copy for yourself to turn in. Now you'll notice what it's asking is for you to go ahead and fill in the exposition, rising action, climax, falling action, and resolution. Now, let's do a little review. The exposition introduces the main characters. What else?
The setting.
The setting, brilliant. What else? The conflict, absolutely. So let's go ahead and talk about and start filling this in together. So we'll have some of this work done. And as I write, what I'd like you to do is type. In fact, I might even call a volunteer to come up here and write. So it says, the story begins with blank and blank playing a game of chess. Who was playing a game of chess at the beginning? The father and the son, Mr. White and Herbert. Anybody want to volunteer to come write this? I'm just trying to father and son. You can say father, son. You can say Mr. White and Herbert. Anybody want to write it? Okay, I'll write it till we get break. You can say father, son. Well, had a little technical difficulty here. Okay, and what was the setting? We don't know the name of the town, but we do know it was in a what? Say again. Okay. Yeah. Or a house. It's a village house. Either one would be correct. I'm going to let you fill in the main characters. Who arrives at the house? Sergeant Major Morris. You want to write it, okay? Okay, good. It's kind of fun. It's a little bit fun. It's not a lot of fun. It's not like a party or bowling, but it's a tiny bit fun. Okay, so Sergeant Major Morris. Yeah, just write it on the board where it says someone arrives, and you can put S for sergeant because it's hard to spell. Or SER is fine with me. Major, MAJOR. And then Morris is MORRIS. Brilliant, perfect. You don't need to write and complete sentences on the story map. You don't. You can just fill in some notes. Now we're going to look at rising action. What does the visitor give to Mr. White that is so...
Monkey's paw.
Monkey's paw. And what is the importance of this object?
It gives you 3 wishes.
It grants 3 wishes.
Consequences.
Now you'll notice here, I have changed the color of the font. From looking at the directions, why is that?
It's the main detail.
I changed my color already.
So the reason is, it says in the directions to, when you decide to change the story, change the color font. You can change the story at whatever point you want. You can change it at the climax. That's the most exciting part. What is the most exciting part in the monkey's paw? When is it emotional? When does Miss White get emotional? Well, kind of. It doesn't tell in the story when her.
When she got the news on her son.
Well, yeah, but remember when she gets really upset and the husband says,
He didn't want to.
When the son came back to
life.
life.
she wants to get that monkey's paw. She remembers in the middle of the night. She's like, oh, we still have that monkey's paw. And she realizes, how many wishes do they have left? 2. Then she gets emotional and she's like, oh, we got to do something about this. We can bring him back to life. And the husband's like, oh, no, this is not good. So at that point, if you want to change the story there, you can. But let's look at the falling action. The falling action in the actual story is, what does Mrs. White remember in the middle of the night? And what happens when Mr. White hears a knock on the door?
He grants another wish.
He wishes again, doesn't he? What does he wish?
For the son.
Yeah, because he doesn't want to open the door and see that mangly. Because he's like, this is not going to be good. He was cut up in machinery, right? And so he just didn't feel like it was going to be good. Now, so you're asking yourself, oh, what? I'm going to change the ending of the story? Yes, you are. Now, let me show you a couple of endings of the story. And I think I posted some actually in Canvas for you, I believe. But I'm going to read 1 or 2 for you as well. So let me go back. These are previous students. And some of them are, a couple of these kids are still here. And believe it or not, this is so exciting. I realized I had to show him this morning. I said, I am using your example. One of these students is still in my class. He's a senior now. I thought that was so cool. So here we are. This is Alexis. As Mrs. White reached for a chair to unlock the top lock, Mr. White crawled on the floor desperately, hoping to find the monkey's paw before Mrs. White opened the door to find her son Herbert in pain from the harm the machinery did to him. But she didn't care. She loved him for who he was and not how he looked and what people taught. But Mr. White didn't want to see him hurt, all because he wanted the 200 pounds to pay off the house. And sooner or later, he knew he had to find the monkey's paw before his wife opened the door and saw his beat son. And then, like a few seconds later, he found the paw and said, I wish for my son to vanish if he's the one at the door. And as Mrs. White finally opened the door, she saw the quiet, chilly night and then fell to her knees to find that her son was not at the front step, waiting for his parents to open the door and welcome him into the home he had once lived in before his dad made a wish for his son for his selfish desire. So she didn't really change the ending. She didn't really give much of a change to the ending, but what she did do was give more of an explanation, which is okay. All right, now this student is actually the one that's in my class now. And he has a brief ending. In fact, I probably would have marked him down for not having, it's not long enough, but it's good though. Mr. White finally finds the monkey's paw in relief. But suddenly the door opens as Mrs. White happily looks, but is met with the terrifying face of a walking disease. She drops to the ground, but looks up at her son. Her eyes widen as Herbert sinks his teeth into his own mother's face. Mr. White's face is in despair as tears drop to the ground. He thinks for a moment about listening to the man about the paw and then sits in a chair as his son kills him. Ah! I thought that was kind of good that he added some effects to his name here. So I'm going to let you take a minute and kind of read through these. And these are just different endings that these are not good grades or bad grades. I just selected really just random ones. Let's see if there's any other kids that I know are still here. Anyway, take a minute and read those, and then you're going to be writing your own ending, and I'm going to stop the recording. Those of you out there in remote land, if you have questions, please message me.